The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Elder Thorn walked to the center platform. His gray skin wrinkled with age, but his 4 eyes were sharp and clear. 2,000 representatives from across the galaxy watched him. Some had traveled for months to attend this emergency meeting. Honored members of the council, Elder Thorn began, his voice echoing through the massive chamber. For 10,000 years we have kept peace among our civilizations. Today, that peace faces a new threat. The floating screens around the chamber showed images of a blue-green planet. Our scout ships have found signals from this unexplored region, Elder Thorn continued. We have discovered a species calling themselves humans. They have moved from their homeworld to nearby planets in mere centuries. Not the thousands of years it took the rest of us. Worried whispers spread through the hall. Fast development usually meant danger in the galaxy. Show us more, demanded the representative from the Marin Federation, a race of tall, thin beings with skin like tree bark. Elder Thorn nodded. The screens changed to show cities on Earth, bases on Mars, and stations orbiting planets. These humans have spread quickly. They fight among themselves constantly, yet advance their technology at an alarming rate. In another part of the galaxy, far from the council chambers, Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Defiant. At 45, Reed had spent half her life in space. Her short black hair showed touches of gray, and the scars on her hands told stories of hard work and survival. Admiral, we've picked up unknown ships near Titan again, reported Officer Jones, looking up from his screen. Same pattern as last week. They watch, then disappear when our patrols get close. Reed frowned. The United Earth government had hoped first contact with aliens would be peaceful. The watching ships didn't seem friendly. Show me, she ordered. The screen lit up with images of sleek vessels. Unlike any human design, they moved with impossible grace, appearing and vanishing without warning. They're studying us, Reed said quietly, learning our strengths and weaknesses. Back in the council chambers, Director Moss of Galactic Intelligence took the center platform. Shorter than Elder Thorn, with blue scales covering his body, Moss had spent decades studying newly discovered species. Our research shows humans are uniquely dangerous, Moss stated, bringing up new images. They evolved on what we would call a death world. Their planet has deadly temperature changes, harmful radiation, and poisonous elements. Yet they thrived. The screens showed humans in different environments: frozen wastelands, burning deserts, deep oceans, and high mountains. They can survive almost anywhere, Moss continued. They can eat foods that would kill most species. Their bodies heal quickly from injury. Most concerning, they have turned every discovery in their history into a weapon. The images changed to show human warfare through the ages, from simple spears to nuclear bombs and laser weapons. If we allow them to join the galactic community, Moss concluded, they will eventually dominate or destroy us all. The council erupted in fearful discussion. Species that had known peace for thousands of years faced the prospect of a dangerous newcomer. Elder Thorn raised his hands for silence. We face a difficult choice. We could welcome humans and risk our way of life. We could try to contain them, which might lead to war. Or, he paused, looking around the chamber. Or we could remove the problem before it grows. On Earth, in the underground headquarters of the United Defense Council, Admiral Reed met with the planet's top military and political leaders. The room was plain and functional, with a large round table and screens on every wall. The alien ships are becoming bolder, Reed explained, pointing to a map showing sightings near human colonies. They're not just watching Earth anymore. They're checking all our outposts. General Stone, a broad-shouldered man with a stern face, nodded in agreement. We should strike first, show them we're not easy targets. And start an interstellar war we can't win, countered Director Park, head of diplomatic relations. Her calm voice contrasted with Stone's aggressive tone. We don't know their numbers or capabilities. Reed raised her hand to stop the argument. We've managed to intercept some of their transmissions. Our linguists are still working on translations, but the tone doesn't seem friendly. In the Galactic Council, Elder Thorn presented his plan. I propose we deny the existence of humans completely. Confused murmurs filled the chamber. We will tell all worlds that humans are merely legends, stories invented by primitive planets. Any claims of human contact will be treated as lies against the Council. Director Moss nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, our forces will quietly remove all evidence of human civilization beyond their home system. We'll place a containment field around their star, preventing them from expanding further. And if they resist? Asked a representative. Then, we will do what is necessary to protect the galaxy, Elder Thorn replied coldly. The Council voted. The decision was nearly unanimous. The directive would be issued immediately. Humans do not exist. Any mention of them was forbidden. On Colony Station Delta orbiting Jupiter, Administrator Bell checked the station's defenses for the third time that day. The station housed 500 people working on Jupiter's moons. Bell had received Reed's warning about possible alien threats and taken it seriously. All shield generators operating at full capacity, reported Technician Dale. But honestly, sir, if an advanced alien fleet attacks us, I don't think these defenses will hold for long. Bell nodded grimly. They're not meant to win a war. They're meant to buy time for evacuation. The station's alert system suddenly blared. Dale rushed to the sensor controls. Multiple unknown vessels approaching. They're not responding to hails. Bell hit the emergency button. All personnel to evacuation pods. This is not a drill. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out as alien ships appeared near human outposts. In her command room on Earth, Admiral Reed received the distress calls one after another. The screens showed chaos as colonies on Mars, Venus, and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn reported contact with alien vessels. They're hitting everything at once, General Stone said, his face pale despite his earlier bravado. Reed's communication officer looked up from his station, confusion on his face. Admiral, we're picking up a transmission being broadcast throughout. The system, it's strange. Put it through, Reed ordered. The main screen lit up with alien text, alongside a translation provided by Earth's AI systems. Official Galactic Council directive. The species known as humans has been confirmed. Non-existent, merely legends from primitive worlds. Any claims of human encounters are considered acts of treason against the Council. Silence fell over the command room as the implications became clear. They're erasing us, Reed finally said, her voice tight with anger. Denying our very existence. While they attack us. She turned to her officers, determination replacing shock. Send the code to all colonies, Phantom Protocol. Go dark. Activate defenses. Prepare for extended isolation. Reed looked back at the screen where the alien message still played on repeat. They think they can make us disappear, she said quietly. They're about to learn how real we are. Outside, Earth's atmosphere, the first Galactic Council ships appeared, their weapons charged and ready. The war for humanity's right to exist had begun. Administrator Bell watched the emergency evacuation pods launch from Colony Station Delta. Each small vessel carried 20 people, shooting away from the station in different directions. His hands gripped the edge of the control panel as he counted the pods on the screen. 23, 24, 25, he muttered, all civilians away. Bell turned to the small team that had stayed behind. Only 5 people remained on the station, all volunteers who understood they might not survive. Stealth systems active, reported Technician Dale, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. From the outside, this place will look abandoned. Bell nodded. The station's special coating now absorbed sensor scans instead of reflecting them. Its heat signature matched the cold rock of Jupiter's moon below. To passing ships, Colony Delta would appear dead and empty. Now we wait, Bell said. Quietly, they didn't wait long. Through the observation window, Bell saw the alien ships arrive. They were smooth and white, with no visible engines but a soft blue glow surrounding them. 7 vessels of different sizes, moving with perfect coordination. Dale whispered, "Those aren't explorers, that's a military formation." Bell said nothing. He knew she was right. The ships weren't here for peaceful contact. They had come to destroy. The aliens ignored the station completely. Instead, they focused on the automated mining operations on the moon below. Beams of intensely bright light shot from the ships, cutting through metal structures like they were made of paper. Mining robots, processing facilities, and transport vehicles, all destroyed methodically. "They're removing all signs we were ever here," Bell said. "Just like Admiral Reed warned us." Dale's eyes widened. "They really are trying to erase us." Across the solar system, similar scenes played out. Council forces systematically eliminated unmanned human outposts, research stations, and mining operations. They avoided direct attacks on facilities with large human populations. For now. On Earth, the United Defense Council gathered in their underground headquarters. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing the status of human colonies and the positions of alien ships. Most of the screens flashed red, indicating lost contact. Admiral Reed stood before the assembled military and political leaders. Her uniform was wrinkled from days without rest, but her voice remained strong. "They're targeting our unmanned operations first," she explained, pointing to affected areas. "Testing us, seeing if we'll reveal our military capabilities." General Stone paced at the back of the room. "We should strike back now. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity." "With what?" asked Director Park calmly. "Their ships outclass ours in every way. Our best weapons might not even scratch their hulls." Stone stopped pacing. "We have the Hammer satellites, orbital weapons platforms. That would confirm their propaganda about us being warmongers," Park interrupted. "If we respond with full force, we play into their hands." Admiral Reed raised her hand for silence. "I understand both positions, but we need a measured response that shows strength without revealing all our capabilities." The debate might have continued for hours, but an urgent message interrupted them. A young communications officer burst into the room, his face pale. "Admiral, we've received a distress signal from Colony Epsilon." Reed turned sharply. "Epsilon? That's a research station. 73 civilians. No military presence." The officer nodded. "The message says Council forces have entered the system. They're not targeting automated systems this time. They're heading straight for the colony." Silence fell over the room. Colony Epsilon was different. It housed families, scientists and their children working on agricultural projects for Mars. Reed's expression hardened. "Measured or not, we won't abandon our people." On Colony Epsilon, Dr. Wells worked frantically to move everyone to the emergency bunkers. As the colony's lead researcher, Wells had never expected to face a military threat. The station had been designed for science, not war. "Move quickly, but don't panic," he told the frightened colonists. "The lower levels have radiation shielding. It will hide your life signs from their scanners." A young researcher clutched her data tablet. "What about our work?" "Years of research. People first, data second," Wells said firmly. "If we survive, we can rebuild our research." The colony shook as the first alien ships entered orbit. Through the windows, Wells could see 5 large vessels positioning themselves above the main buildings. "Everyone down now," he shouted, helping. The last group toward the bunker entrance. "I'll seal the doors behind you." As the civilians descended, Wells ran to the communications room. He needed to send one last message. "Colony Epsilon to Earth Command. Alien vessels have arrived. Civilians are in the bunkers. No defensive capabilities here. Please." A blinding light cut through the roof of the building. Wells dove under a desk as debris rained down around him. The message had to get through. Earth had to know they were under attack. Unknown to the Council forces, 3 human stealth frigates had been hiding in an asteroid field near Colony Epsilon. These ships, part of Admiral Reed's newest fleet, had hulls covered with light-absorbing material and engines designed to leave no heat signature. Captain Lee of the frigate Shadow watched the alien attack begin. "They're targeting the colony's communication array first," he noted. "Standard procedure to isolate the target." His second-in-command looked nervous. "Our orders were to observe only, Captain." Lee nodded grimly. "Orders change when civilians are under attack." He pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands to battle stations. Weapon systems online. Prepare to engage. For the first time since the conflict began, Council forces would face actual, human military technology rather than unarmed outposts. The 3 frigates powered up simultaneously, shedding their stealth fields. The Shadow, the Phantom, and the Ghost appeared seemingly from nowhere, their weapons already targeting the Council vessels. On the lead Council ship, Commander Voss of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force stared in shock at his sensor readings. "Impossible," he exclaimed. "Where do they come from? Scan the area again." His sensor officer looked equally confused. "Sir, 3 vessels of unknown design have appeared off our port side. They're powering weapons." Voss had led many containment operations across the galaxy. His mission here was simple: remove evidence of the myth species called humans. No intelligence report had mentioned hidden military vessels with technology that could mask their presence completely. "Evasive action," Voss ordered. "Target those ships," and the human frigates fired first. Advanced railguns launched projectiles at incredible speeds, bypassing the Council ship's energy shields completely. Kinetic weapons, so simple compared to the Council's energy technology, yet devastatingly effective. 2 of the Council vessels sustained heavy damage in the first volley. The third managed to return fire, sending pulses of blue energy toward the human ships. Captain Lee gripped his command chair as the Shadow shook violently. "Damage report. Hull breach on Deck 3. Sealing compartments," reported his tactical officer. "Weapons still operational." Lee nodded. "Target their propulsion systems. We don't need to destroy them. Just make sure they can't hurt the colony." The battle lasted less than 15 minutes. When it ended, 3 Council ships were disabled and drifting. One had managed to jump to faster-than-light travel, escaping with heavy damage. The 5th had been completely destroyed when its power core overloaded. The human frigates hadn't escaped, unscathed. The Ghost had lost life support on 2 decks. The Phantom's weapon systems were offline. Even the Shadow had taken significant damage to its hull, but Colony Epsilon remained intact. The civilians in the bunkers were safe. As the surviving Council vessels retreated, Admiral Reed watched the battle feeds from her command ship near Earth. The data told a clear story. Humans had won their first engagement against the Galactic Council. "They came expecting no resistance," Reed said to her officers. "They found otherwise." General Stone allowed himself a small smile. "The element of surprise worked in our favor this time." "It won't work again," Reed cautioned. "Now they know we exist. Now they know we can fight back." She looked at the tactical display showing Council forces regrouping throughout the solar system. The real war begins now. 6 months had passed since the battle at Colony Epsilon. The galaxy now called the conflict the human containment. On thousands of worlds, citizens watched Council broadcasts about the successful removal of the human myth from historical records, but not everyone believed the official story. On the icy planet Cerub Prime, researcher Gray worked late in his laboratory. Unlike most Cerubians who had pale blue skin and stood only 4 feet tall, Gray was unusually large for his species at nearly 5 feet. His colleagues often joked that he had been born on the wrong planet. Gray carefully locked his laboratory door and spoke a command. "Secure mode active." The lights dimmed, and a hidden section of the floor slid open. From below, 3 figures emerged, humans who had been off-world when the conflict began. The Council search teams came through the science district again. Today, Gray told them. "They're becoming more thorough." Tom, the oldest of the humans, nodded grimly. "They're desperate. More people are questioning their story about us." For months, Gray had hidden these human diplomats beneath his laboratory. As a xenoanthropologist who studied other species, Gray had immediately recognized the Council's claims about humans as propaganda. When he found the diplomats stranded on Cerub Prime, he couldn't turn them away. "I've made contact with similar groups on 12 other worlds," Gray said, bringing up a holographic map. "Small pockets of resistance who question the Council directive. We're calling ourselves truth seekers." Lisa, the female human diplomat, studied the map. "How are you communicating without the Council detecting it?" Gray's mouth formed the Cerubian version of a smile. "Old technology. We're using radio wave patterns that the Council's quantum networks ignore as background noise. The third human, Ben, looked up from the data tablet he was studying. We need to share what we know. The truth about Earth and humanity. The Council has painted us as monsters. Gray nodded. That's why I've been recording your histories, your cultures, your art. The Council fears what they don't understand. They've told everyone that humans are violent creatures who turn everything into weapons. But I've seen the truth. He activated a hidden projector that displayed images the humans had shared. Earth's great cities, medical advances, music performances, children playing. Humans aren't the monsters described in official broadcasts, Gray told his small network of truth seekers that night. They're adaptable, yes, and formidable when threatened. But they've spent more of their history creating art and medicine than weapons. Across the galaxy, the truth seekers movement spread Gray's findings through encrypted channels. Soon, dozens of worlds harbored doubts about the Council's actions. Meanwhile, human forces had adapted to their new reality. Unable to match the Council's numbers, they used superior stealth technology and knowledge of their own systems to strike critical targets before disappearing. Commander West led one such strike team. At 35, West had spent most of his career in Earth's special forces before the war began. Now he commanded a team of 12 operatives aboard the stealth vessel Wraith. The Wraith drifted through space, its exterior covered with debris and ice to mask its shape from scanning systems. To any observer, it appeared to be nothing more than a small asteroid. 2 minutes to target, reported West's pilot. West looked at his team. They wore lightweight armor with built-in stealth systems, another technology the Council didn't. No humans possessed. Remember, he told them, our objective isn't maximum casualties, we're here to plant the truth. Their mission: upload actual human historical records into the Galactic Network, countering the Council's propaganda with evidence of human achievements, culture, and peaceful intentions before the conflict. The target was a Council communication hub, a massive station that relayed information to thousands of worlds. Docking in 30 seconds, the pilot announced. No alarms triggered, they don't see us. The Wraith attached itself to an unused maintenance port on the outer ring of the station. West's team moved quickly through the airlock, their suits making them nearly invisible to standard sensors. Team 1, head for the main server room, West ordered through their secure communication system. Team 2 with me to set up the distraction. Officer Miller led Team 1 through the station's maintenance tunnels. As a former computer security expert, she knew exactly what they needed to do. The main servers should be through here, she whispered, pointing to a sealed door. 2 team members placed small devices on the door's locking mechanism. The advanced human technology silently overrode the Council security systems, causing the door to slide open without triggering alarms. Inside, rows of quantum processors handled data from across the galaxy. Miller connected a small device to the central control panel. Uploading package now, she reported. Estimated time, 3 minutes. Meanwhile, West and Team 2 reached the station's power distribution center. They didn't need to shut down the station. That would only alert the Council to their presence. Instead, they needed a distraction that would keep the station's security team busy while Miller completed the upload. Plant the charges here, here, and here, West instructed, pointing to non-critical systems. Set timers for 2 minutes. The small explosive devices wouldn't cause major damage, but they would create enough confusion to keep security occupied. As both teams worked, a Council security officer walked around a corner, coming face to face with one of West's team members. The officer's 4 eyes widened in shock. Intruder, he shouted, reaching for his weapon. West reacted instantly, firing a tranquilizer dart that struck the officer in the neck. The alien collapsed before he could sound the general alarm. Our timeline just got shorter, West warned through the comm system. Miller's status? 80% uploaded, she replied. Need 1 more minute. West dragged the unconscious officer into a storage room. You've got 30 seconds. Then we're leaving, with or without the complete upload. On the station's main control deck, a junior officer noticed a small anomaly in the data streams. Sir, I'm detecting unusual activity in Server Section 4, he reported to his supervisor. The supervisor frowned. Run a diagnostic. Before the junior officer could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The small explosives West's team had planted had detonated, causing power fluctuations in non-essential systems. Emergency in power distribution, someone shouted. Possible reactor instability. The supervisor forgot about the server anomaly. All security teams to the reactor level. This could be a containment breach. In the confusion, Miller completed the upload. Package delivered. Initiating self-destruct on our device. West nodded. All teams back to the ship, mission accomplished. The human strike team retreated as quickly as they had arrived. By the time the Council security forces realized there was no actual reactor problem, the Wraith had detached and drifted away, once again just another piece of space debris. But they left something important behind. Truth. Across thousands of worlds. The Council's information network suddenly displayed images and data about humans. Their art, their music, their scientific achievements, their attempts at peaceful contact before the conflict. For many species seeing this information for the first time, it contradicted everything they had been told about the mythical humans. On distant Proxima Centauri b, human colonists led by Governor Hill lived in hidden underground cities. The colony had gone dark when the war began, using advanced camouflage systems to hide from Council scans. Hill addressed the Colony Council in their underground meeting chamber. We've received word of Commander West's successful mission. For the first time since this war began, the truth about humanity is spreading through the galaxy. An older council member looked skeptical. Will it matter? The council has convinced everyone we're monsters, or that we don't even exist. Governor Hill's expression remained determined. Truth always matters. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for the right to exist in the eyes of the galaxy. As the Truth Seekers movement grew and human guerrilla tactics succeeded, Elder Thorne faced mounting questions from council members. Some began to wonder if the original directive had been a mistake based on fear rather than fact. The tide was turning, slowly but surely. The war for humanity's existence had entered a new phase, a battle for the truth itself. Council Investigator Blake had served the Galactic Council for over 40 years. Tall and thin with silver-gray skin, Blake had built a reputation for finding truth, no matter how well hidden. When the Council assigned Blake to assess the human situation, many expected a quick confirmation of official positions. Blake approached the task with methodical precision. First step, review all original intelligence reports about humans. Show me the first contact records, Blake told the Council archive system, and all intelligence assessments that led to the containment directive. The data appeared on Blake's screen. Immediately, something seemed wrong. The reports contained alarming claims about human aggression and danger, but offered little evidence. Where were the detailed observations, the scientific analyses, the cultural evaluations that should precede any species containment? Blake's four-fingered hand tapped thoughtfully on the desk. This wasn't standard procedure. The decision to declare humans mythological had bypassed normal council protocols. System, show me the voting record for the Human Containment Directive, Blake ordered. The screen displayed the council vote, nearly unanimous support after Elder Thorne's presentation. But when Blake requested the preliminary committee findings that should have preceded such a vote, the system returned an error. Records restricted. That was unusual. Council decisions were supposed to be transparent. Blake decided to dig deeper. System, show me resource allocation records for Council. Members in the month following the Human Directive. The results were shocking. 5 high-ranking Council members, including Elder Thorne, had received massive resource rights to star systems near human space immediately after the directive passed. The official reason: expansion of peaceful mining operations in newly secured zones. Blake sat back, eyes narrowed in thought. This wasn't about protecting the galaxy. This was about profit. Meanwhile on Earth, Admiral Reed's intelligence team made a breakthrough of their own. For months, they had worked to intercept and Decrypt Council communications. They finally succeeded with a high-security transmission between Elder Thorn and his associates. Reed stood in the dimly lit decryption room, watching as the message appeared on screen, translated into English. Our corporation has secured exclusive rights to the Proxima, Tau Ceti, and Epsilon Eridani systems. Once human presence is fully eliminated, mining can begin immediately. Projected profits exceed 1 trillion universal credits. The Council restrictions on these systems due to dangerous mythological species ensure we face no competition. Reed's face hardened as she read the message. This was never about humanity being a threat. It was about money. She turned to her communications officer. Get me a secure line to all our remaining outposts, and contact our allies in the Truth Seekers network. They need to see this. Armed with evidence of corruption, Blake approached Council member Jorah, known for strict, ethical standards. They met in a private chamber away from monitoring systems. What I'm about to show you violates my investigation protocols, Blake admitted. But the truth is more important than procedure. Jorah, an elder member of the amphibious Moran species, listened carefully as Blake presented the evidence. The resource allocations, the bypassed protocols, the lack of scientific assessment before the containment directive. This war wasn't initiated because humans pose a threat, Blake explained. It was started because acknowledging their existence would cost certain council members trillions in mining rights. Jorah's wide eyes blinked slowly. These are serious accusations against Elder Thorn and others. We need more than financial records to prove intent. I believe the humans can provide that proof, Blake replied. If we can establish communication. Jorah looked surprised. You've had contact with them? Not yet, Blake admitted. But I know someone who has. Throughout the galaxy, researcher Gray's Truth Seekers network had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started as dozen scientists questioning council propaganda had expanded to millions across hundreds of worlds. Gray's recordings of human history, art, and peaceful intentions had been copied and shared countless times. Gray received Blake's encrypted message while working in his laboratory. The message was brief. Evidence found. Council corruption confirmed. Need direct contact with human leaders. Gray contacted his human friends immediately. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. A council investigator with proof of corruption. Tom, the human diplomat, looked cautious. Or it could be a trap to find us. I've verified Blake's identity, Gray insisted. This investigator has exposed 3 major corruption cases in the past decade. If anyone will stand for truth, it's Blake. After careful consideration, the humans agreed to establish indirect communication with Blake through Gray's secure channels. Meanwhile, on multiple worlds, public opinion was shifting. Billions had seen the truth about humans through Commander West's information upload. Protests erupted on numerous planets, with citizens demanding explanations from their council representatives. On the council capital world, Elder Thorn faced an emergency session called by Jorah and 17 other council members. The Grand Chamber was filled with representatives from across the galaxy, along with news recorders broadcasting to thousands of worlds. Thorn appeared confident as he addressed the gathering. These rumors of real humans are concerning. Clearly, our efforts to dispel dangerous myths have been insufficient. Blake stood on the speaker's platform facing the council. This is not about myths, Elder Thorn. This is about truth. The large display screens activated, showing the evidence Blake had gathered, the resource allocation records, the bypassed protocols, the corruption trail leading directly to Thorn and his associates. The directive to deny human existence was never about galactic safety, Blake announced to the shocked audience. It was about claiming valuable resource rights to systems that, by council law, would require sharing with the human species if they were acknowledged as real. Thorn's face darkened. These accusations are baseless. Investigator Blake has clearly been influenced by human sympathizers. Blake nodded to a technician. Let's hear from the humans themselves. The screens changed to show Admiral Reed, broadcasting from her command ship. The human leader looked directly at the council, her expression resolute. Members of the Galactic Council, I am Admiral Reed of Earth's United Defense Force. We have intercepted communications proving that Elder Thorn and his associates engineered this conflict for profit. The recorded messages appeared on screen, Thorn's own words about mining rights and profits once humans were eliminated. Throughout the chamber, representatives began talking at once. Many species withdrew their support for the conflict immediately, citing violations of the Council's founding principles. Thorn attempted to dismiss the evidence. These messages are fabricated. This human is using deception. But his defense crumbled as more council members joined the opposition. Several of Thorn's closest allies suddenly distanced themselves, claiming they had been misled about humans. For the first time since the conflict began, direct communication opened between the council and human leaders. On the main screen, Admiral Reed addressed the galactic representatives. We never wanted war, she stated firmly. From our earliest days in space, we sought peaceful coexistence. When your ships first appeared in our system, we attempted communication, not conflict. Reed displayed humanity's first contact protocols, translated into the Council's standard language. These were our instructions to all ships. Approach peacefully. Attempt communication on all frequencies, show no weapons. Represent Earth with dignity and respect. Many council members looked shocked. This contradicted everything they had been told about human aggression. Blake moved to stand directly before Elder Thorn. You lied to the council. You manufactured a threat to enrich yourself and your associates. You started a war that has cost thousands of lives. Thorn's supporters dwindled as the evidence mounted. One by one, council members called for immediate cessation of hostilities against humans and full investigation of Thorn's actions. The tide had turned completely. What began as a war to erase humanity had transformed into a revelation that would reshape the galaxy forever. The truth, Blake announced to the council, is that humans exist. They have always existed, and they deserve the same rights as all sentient species in our community. The vote was nearly unanimous. The council officially recognized humanity and called for immediate peace talks. As Elder Thorn was led away to face justice, Admiral Reed turned to her officers. This isn't the end, she cautioned, but it's the beginning of understanding. The Grand Conciliation Summit took place on Neutral Station Alpha, an ancient space station that had existed before even the Galactic Council formed. Representatives from Earth stood on one side of the massive circular chamber. Delegates from thousands of galactic civilizations stood on the other. In the middle, a round table made of polished stone waited for the leaders who would make history today. Admiral Reed had changed her military uniform for formal diplomatic clothes. As she walked toward the table, she felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She represented not just Earth, but all of humanity. The decisions made here would shape human existence in the galaxy for generations. Elder Jorah, who had replaced Thorn as the Council's leader, approached from the other side. The amphibious alien moved with slow dignity, water vapor misting around his breathing apparatus. They met at the table facing each other directly for the first time. On behalf of the Galactic Council, Jorah began, his translator converting his watery speech to clear English. I extend formal recognition of humanity as a sentient species with all rights and protections under Council law. Reed nodded solemnly. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I accept this recognition and offer our commitment to peaceful cooperation. The chamber remained silent as the two leaders sat down. This moment marked the official end of a conflict that had nearly erased humanity from galactic memory. Before we discuss terms, Reed said clearly, I want to address all representatives here. She turned to look at the gathered delegates. Humanity doesn't seek revenge for what happened. We understand that most species were misled by corrupt leaders. We seek understanding, not retribution. A murmur of relief passed through the alien representatives. Many had feared human demands for compensation or territory. Over the next several hours, agreements were made. The systems falsely claimed near-human space were returned to neutral status. Cooperative exploration rights were established. Trade routes were opened. Perhaps most importantly, cultural exchange programs were created. Elsewhere in the station, Elder Thorn and the other conspirators faced justice under council law. Their trial was broadcast throughout the galaxy. The evidence was overwhelming. The punishment was severe, stripped of all positions, properties, and assets, confined to a single planet for the remainder of their lives. The corruption we uncovered went beyond simple greed, Investigator Blake explained to the media. It revealed fundamental flaws in how we evaluate new species. The Council has already begun implementing reforms to prevent such abuses in the future. 1 month after the summit, the first cultural exchanges began. Human art, music, literature, and science spread throughout the galaxy. In return, alien knowledge flowed to Earth. The exchanges revealed surprising similarities across species. The universal nature of curiosity, creativity, and connection. Researcher Gray, whose truth seekers had played such a crucial role in revealing the truth, received the highest civilian honor from both the Council and Earth government. His Xenoanthropology Institute became the galaxy's premier center for cross-species understanding. The greatest barrier between different species isn't biology, Gray told his students at the newly established Interspecies University. It's fear of the unknown. When we replace fear with knowledge, understanding becomes possible. On Colony, Epsilon, now rebuilt as a diplomatic hub, Dr. Wells welcomed representatives from 50 different species to the inaugural Galactic Science Symposium. The research station that had once been attacked now served as a symbol of cooperation. Today we share knowledge freely, Wells announced to the assembled scientists. This is humanity's true nature, not the warriors you were told about, but explorers and innovators eager to learn and contribute. Commander West, whose information mission had helped turn the tide of public opinion, stood at the back of the crowd. He had traded his military uniform for civilian clothes, now serving as head of security for the diplomatic hub. Strange to think that just a year ago we were fighting for our right to exist, West remarked to his former team member, Officer Miller. Miller nodded. Now we're hosting a science conference with the same species that tried to erase us. They tried to erase us from history, West replied. Instead, they made us part of it. The galactic integration of humanity proceeded faster than anyone expected. Human adaptability, once feared, became valued in crisis response across multiple worlds. When a severe earthquake struck the Marin homeworld, human emergency teams were among the first to arrive, bringing techniques developed on Earth's most disaster-prone regions. Earth's militaries also shared their knowledge, though carefully. The stealth technology that had been so effective during the conflict was studied by Council defense forces. In return, humans gained access to faster-than-light travel improvements that cut journey times by half. We're not sharing everything, Admiral Reed told the United Earth government, and neither are they. Trust builds slowly. The most significant changes came in the Council itself. Reforms gave younger species more representation. The process for evaluating new civilizations was completely redesigned, with multiple independent assessments required before any action could be taken. Blake, promoted to chief investigator, oversaw the implementation of these new protocols. The attempt to erase humanity revealed deep flaws in our system, Blake explained. By fixing those flaws, we've made the galaxy safer for all species. In the council chambers where the war began, a new memorial stood. Its simple inscription, translated into hundreds of languages, read, "To acknowledge all sentient life is to honor our highest ideals. Never again shall fear guide our path among the stars." Governor Hill, who had protected the underground human colonies during the darkest days of the conflict, now served as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. As she walked through the memorial hall, she remembered the fear and determination that had defined those days in hiding. "We've come so far so quickly," she said to her aide. "From hiding our existence to helping shape galactic policy." "Do you think it will last?" the young aide asked. Hill considered the question carefully. "Peace is never permanent, but understanding, once achieved, is harder to break than ignorance." 1 year after the summit, Admiral Reed stood at Earth's first galactic embassy, a gleaming structure built in orbit where ships from hundreds of worlds now moved peacefully through the system. From this viewpoint, Earth looked small and fragile, a blue marble hanging in the void. Reed stood beside Governor Hill, watching the traffic of alien vessels. "They told the galaxy we never existed," Reed said quietly. "Now our existence has transformed it." Hill nodded. "The question is, how will it transform us?" Reed had no simple answer. Humanity had survived extinction and gained a place among the stars. The future held possibilities no one could have imagined before. "We'll adapt," Reed finally said. "That's what humans do best." Below them, Earth continued its eternal spin, no longer alone in the universe. The planet that had nearly been erased from galactic memory now stood as a symbol of resilience, truth, and the power of understanding. A new chapter in human history had begun, not as myths, but as partners in a vast, complex galactic community. The war that began with denial had ended with acceptance. The lie that humans never existed had been replaced by the truth that they had always belonged among the stars.